This video demonstrates numeric formatting in Excel, just the basic numeric formatting using the icons for commas and dollar signs, or accounting style. If you take a look at the numbers that I already have in this, already entered into the spreadsheet, you'll notice a variety of decimal places. Some with, here's 5 decimal places, here's 3, here's 2, here's 1, and of course some with no decimal places. When I have typed numbers into Excel that have, maybe I want 2 decimal places, if I type 12.00, you'll notice it's going to wipe the .00 off. Or if I type 54.80, it'll knock that last 0 off, because the default format in Excel for numbers is general. I can see that on my home ribbon number group right here in this drop down. I'm not going to work with the drop down, but I can see there that that's how the numbers are currently formatted. Most likely you're going to want numbers in your spreadsheet to appear with commas if they're over 1,000 and either 0 or 2 decimal places. So I'm going to go ahead and select all. The little gray box above row 1 to the left of column A. When I click that box, it selects all columns, all rows, all cells. Now that the entire spreadsheet has been selected, I'm going to go ahead and click the icon here in the home ribbon number group for comma. Immediately it changes the numbers that are already in the spreadsheet so that they have 2 decimal places, and if over 1,000 have commas. Notice those that had no decimal places now have .00. Here's one that had 1 decimal place, that's now .10. But here's one that had 5 decimal places, 18.12345, and it's now chopped it down to 18.12. It's important to remember that even though the comma format only displays 2 decimal places by default, the entire 5 decimal places, for example, of this number, you can see that right here on the formula bar, are still stored and will be used for future calculations. I'm only choosing to display 2 decimal places. If I come to a cell that didn't have a number before and I type in a number, you'll notice that the number I type in automatically has 2 decimal places. The reason for that is because when I formatted it, I didn't just select those cells that contain numbers. I selected all of the cells by clicking in the little gray box above row 1 and to the left of column A. This way, since I've selected all the cells, that means I have formatted all the blank cells in the spreadsheet as well for comma. So any number I type in the future will now have commas and 2 decimal places. In this same group, number group home ribbon, I have an icon here called increase decimal. When I click that, I will actually increase the number of decimals displayed in the selected cells. And directly to the right of that is something called decrease decimal. And when I click that, it will actually decrease the number of decimals displayed in all the cells. So currently I have no decimal places. I'm going to go ahead and increase my decimal to take it back to 2 decimal places. Did you notice that when I increased the decimal, it widened the column to accommodate the additional decimal places if appropriate? This is my longest number right here in A7, and it widened this column. But when I decreased the decimal, it did not take that extra space away. So I may have to do that myself manually. Sometimes you want numbers to not only have commas and 2 decimal places, but you also want dollar signs to appear. Generally, when you have a numeric series of numbers, you're going to want dollar signs on the first and last row in the series. So to select row 1, I'm going to point at the number 1 and click. And this will select that row. I also want it in row 8. So I'm going to need to hold Control down on my keyboard and then click on row 8. Holding down Control allows me to select cells in a non-contiguous area. In other words, cells that are not next to each other. So again, I clicked on row 1, then hold down Control and click on row 8. In that number group on the home ribbon, there's an icon that says Accounting Number Format. It has a dollar sign on it. When I click that icon, it will add dollar signs only to the selected cells. In this case, all of row 1 and all of row 8. Notice that the dollar signs are vertically aligned with each other. There's another numeric format I could get out of my dialog box called currency format. I can open that dialog box by clicking the dialog box launcher in the group, and it opens right up. There is another one called currency format that would have the dollar signs butted over against the numbers. But the more commonly used one is accounting format, which has the dollar signs vertically aligned. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that dialog box. Because I formatted the entire row, if I came over here to D1 and I typed a number in the future, 54.987, it's going to automatically format that as I told it to format row 1 with a dollar sign, 54.99. Yet below it, if I type a number, 4578.95, it's going to format that one without a dollar sign, because I formatted rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all of the spreadsheet except rows 1 and 8 to only display commas. To review, I'm going to go ahead and undo each of these and get back to the original numbers that we had. So here's the numbers that I started with. So if I want to format these numbers, I'm going to go ahead and click in the little gray box in the corner to select all, and then click comma to put commas and where appropriate and 2 decimal places on all numbers now and in the future on the spreadsheet. Then I'm going to select row 1, and in this case row 7. So after clicking on row 1, hold down Control, click on row 7, and then click the icon for dollar signs. So the most commonly used numeric formats are going to be the accounting style, which is represented with this dollar sign icon, and the comma style, which is represented by the third icon.